Good morning, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is Tuesday, September 14th, and or it could be Wednesday, it's September 15th if you're listening to me in Australia, New Zealand, on that side of the world. The moon starts the day in Sag, but moves into Capricorn at 7, looks like, I can't read my writing. It's either 7:35 in the morning or 7:45 in the morning on the east coast of the U.S. So it is past that time here now. So the moon is strongly and firmly in Capricorn. Of course, the Capricorn moon prefers practical application, smart utilization of energy and resources to build the structures that help to support us as a group, as society. So really Capricorn is, in its way, one of the first steps to create a society where we all have to be mature and grown up, which of course here in the US we continue to struggle with. So there's a couple of things today that are really worth talking about. You know, there are days when walking around with a big fat ego is more, I don't know what I want to say, dangerous. I mean, certainly big fat egos can be dangerous for those of us who are under the thumb of somebody with a big fat ego, right? And you know, society has had any number of know-it-alls and dictators, and I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, and only I can help you, all that stuff, right? But for most people, they don't walk around like that. Today is one of those days that even the meekest of us can be somewhat sideswiped by our own ego intentions. So let me just talk about a couple of things that are going on today. There was a very early morning sesquiquadrate between Mars and Uranus. When Mars and Uranus get together, it can always bring it's a volatile combination, right? Even though Mars is in Virgo, and Mars in Virgo isn't particularly volatile, but it's Mars. So we have this sesquiquadrate, and it is one in which we will feel like that if we want to do things that are sudden and not thought out, reactive, that can cause problems and can create a big problem in our lives. So if you can, because that energy is with us all day, really, if you can, hold back from, as best you can anyway, because we're dealing with Mars and Uranus, making any sudden decisions or sudden moves, because you will find that they will end up being quite humbling and a little prickly to your ego. We also have today, which also already happened, but has been in orb and has had its influence throughout this whole week, and will continue to have it through next week. And that's the opposition of the Sun to Neptune. The Sun in Virgo, Neptune in Pisces. Now, the Sun as an archetype is an energy of integration, but it's also an energy of differentiation. The sun, when it shines, differentiates things. When it's dark out, everything looks the same. But when the light comes, we can see all the nuances and all the little details, and things get illuminated. But when it's opposite Neptune, Neptune is the planet of fog. And so last night I did a reading, a joint reading, thank you. What's that word? A joint reading with Marianne. And in one of the questions that I asked her, I think the image she saw was a castle surrounded by fog. And so that's what Neptune does. Neptune fogs things up. So when we have the opposition, it's very difficult to see things clearly because of that. And oppositions are not times of action. It's a time when we have to sort of look at both ends of the spectrum. And so we have to consider both the highly delineated bright light of the sun right alongside with that fogginess and idealism and sometimes delusional quality that Neptune brings to the picture, without necessarily taking an action on either end, but just being aware and observing that. Ultimately, the truth of the matter is generally right in the center of the opposition. So it requires both imagination and it requires illumination at the same time. So that's sort of the energy that we're sort of trying to balance today. So again, it's not necessarily a good day to take actions based on what you're seeing, because not what you're seeing may not actually be real, or it might not certainly be the whole story. So I think that this is a time when we can sort of step back a little bit. And anytime Neptune is involved, our imagination gets piqued, but we can also utilize creative visualization at this time. So if you're looking around in your life and not seeing what you want, start visualizing what it is that you want. Start visualizing that, because you have the power to attract to yourself those things that can get you where you want to be, quite frankly. The law of attraction that everybody talks about is really the law of Venus, in a way, because Venus is an attractor. Venus attracts the things in our lives that we love. We are attractive when Venus is active. We get attracted to things with Venus. And now Venus has just moved into Scorpio recently. And so the kind of things that we're going to be attracting are scorpionic, which, of course, is a bit of a double-edged sword. I want to give credit where credit is due on that. Anne Orderly from Astrology, in her weekly astrology hub thing with Amanda, mentioned that, and I thought it was worth a repeat. The other thing that's happening today is Mars is moving into Libra. Now, the interesting thing about Mars moving into Libra is, first of all, Mars does not like being in Libra particularly. Mars likes to go from point A to point B, the shortest distance, as the crow flies. That's Mars, right? You want it, you go get it. But with Libra, you always have to consider others, and Mars really doesn't like doing that, quite frankly. But Mars will do that if it has to. Mars in Libra can also be strategy. Mars in Libra can be diplomacy. Mars in Libra, some of the greatest generals have had Mars in Libra, because they understand that sometimes in order to win, you have to wait. So it sort of eases off some of that instinctual, like, I gotta go do this right this minute kind of energy that Mars can bring into the picture. And Mars is going to be in Libra, I think, for about 6 weeks. So we'll have a time with that. And then after it's in Libra, Mars will go into Scorpio, which is very comfortable in. So, but that is further along in the year. But the interesting thing about Mars being in Libra and Venus being in Scorpio is that they are in mutual reception to each other. Mars is one of the ruling planets of Scorpio, and Venus is the ruling planet of Libra. So really what's happened is they sort of switched. They did a little gender bender of Victor Victoria. Mars in its, in its warlike regalia has had to put on like a really nice like tuxedo suit. It doesn't stop Mars from having the energy of Mars, but it sort of clothes it in something a little bit more socially acceptable, whereas Venus, which is all about social acceptability to a certain extent, is now clothed in the ninja clothes of Scorpio, which is a Mars ruled planet. So they can sort of mitigate each other, but they can also switch back to their places. So while Mars is in Libra, we cannot say, well, Mars is in Libra, so everything, we're not going to be as aggressive perhaps as we might be. Because it's in mutual reception with Venus, Venus can say, hey, you want your Scorpio outfit, you want your ninja outfit, and I'll put on my respectable clothes and we'll go to that party. So that mutual reception really does sort of give us an opportunity to, I don't know, like change the way we relate, depending on the situation. Because Mars and Venus are the planets of relating to one another, and how they interact in the sky often is reflected in our relationships. And we certainly do need to be aware of our relationships, right? And of course, at the later in the month, the Sun moves into Libra, and relationships, become a priority. So that's kind of what's going on today. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. I hope you enjoyed just looking around at the garden. It's a lovely day today. I think it's going to be hot. The crickets certainly sound like it's going to be hot. But it is quite lovely, and the sky is quite blue. It's like that 9/11 sky, right? Have you noticed how blue, well, around here anyway, have you noticed how blue the skies have been since the 9/11 anniversary? I hate to call it an anniversary of a terrorist thing, right? So I hope you enjoyed this. Check out me and Amory. I'm Amory. Never mind. Marianne on you can either watch it from my channel or you can go on her channel on Revealing Light. And today, for those of you who know Ona from Ona's Tarot, we are going to do a little get together on remembrances of 9/11. So our own sort of personal journey. And I think we're going to maybe even look at some charts and pull some cards. I don't actually know what we're going to do. We're going to get together and we're going to see what happens, see what kind of magic we can whip up. All right, guys, have yourself a great day. Like and subscribe. Much love.